Hey Reese, thanks again for this call today, or having this session with us today. It's been great, so far having Shopify and aCommerce as partners, in the region. So I think, to expand on that a little bit more, I think, we can share a bit about our knowledge in terms of, what Shopify is seeing and what aCommerce is seeing, as well as really key opportunities, I think, for, everyone in the ecosystem, right? Especially in Southeast Asia. So with that, I think in this session, would be great for us to sort of share those insights. And then, obviously, I think, from a questions perspective, right, I think, we'll be able to sort of give our audience, a lot more insights that they need to make, decisions on really, how to best leverage the growth of e-commerce, in our region. So what are your thoughts, Rhys?
Absolutely. No, thanks, Tom. Thank you for having me. And absolute pleasure to be here. Really excited by our partnership, and also just what's happening in not only Southeast Asia as a really growing market, but what's happening internationally in this, fascinating space that we get to work in. So pleasure to be here. Really excited to dig into some interesting things with you. And I think to kick us off, tell us a little bit about aCommerce choosing to start building out a Shopify Plus team. I'd love to hear a bit more about that.
Well, thanks, Rhys. I mean, I think the obvious is, you guys are so dominant. But of course, I think, from an aCommerce perspective, I think that we've always been really, really focused, right, being regional leaders, right, and making sure that all the brands, the retailers, and the distributors that we work with, that we really truly enable them across our, as many channels as possible, right? And we've been doing that now for the past 8 years. A bunch of solutions and services, right, end to end, that give our clients, right, that capability to really execute their e-commerce strategy, right? And so I really feel that D2C in particular, right, is a very key channel for us, right? And I think, Shopify, I mean, number one, you're robust, platform with lots of features and functions, right? And also, I think, looking at the thousands or many current customers that you guys have globally, right? And I think even beyond that, I think it's also, your presence in the region, right? You guys have boots on the ground. You're very supportive in terms of, a structure for clients and partners to really engage with. And so I just really feel that, from an e-commerce perspective, it just made really common sense for us to sort of forge this partnership together. Right. And, again, just want to thank you guys as well, right, for helping us, become that partner. And then together we can actually then, go through, I think a lot of opportunities, right, providing rather a lot of opportunities, right, for a lot of brands out there that have yet to really add D2C as part of their overall e-commerce strategy.
Yeah, totally. No, look, echoing similar sentiment, I think the opportunity that both of us have and broader Southeast Asia as a market is really interesting. I'm absolutely fascinated by Southeast Asia. And so tell me a little bit about, direct to consumer and where you see it going in the region.
Yeah, great question, Rhys. I think that, even before the pandemic, right, I think the D2C in general has already been sort of like, top of mind, I think, for many brands, right? And and it's really, I think, because brands know that, it's a key channel to kind of complete their overall, right, online strategy. And so, but I think that, they generally go marketplace first, right? And they've experimented with that for a while, right? And what they've learned is that, well, number one, I really think we really see now that the cost to sales on a marketplace, that's really going up, right? And then, of course, brands now see that, the real opportunity is actually, owning that relationship with a consumer, right? And so I think, that sort of, I would say mindset has always kind of been there, right? And then you get into COVID, the pandemic, it's really accelerated now where, e-commerce for many brands that we work with, it's gone from, anywhere from 3 to 5%, right, of their total, revenues to now being double digits, high double, like in the mid tens now, right? Yeah. So they're really taking that quite seriously, right? And so they really feel that, D2C is it, in terms of really owning that relationship with the consumer, and data itself, right? And the insights they get from that, allows them to really kind of effectively, formulate their longer term, e-commerce strategy, right? And I think that right now, I mean, at this very moment, with all the growth that's happening, we see brands right now at least tell us that, when D2C is part of their strategy, right? We see also through various, insights and white papers across the region that it's going to really go 2 to 3x in the next 3 to 4 years, right? And so if I'm a brand, this is that moment. I should definitely be taking advantage, right, of at least formulating D2C, right, as part of my overall, e-commerce strategy, right? Yeah. So really exciting times, Rhys. Yeah.
Totally, really, really exciting. And look, I think some of the interesting things that we're seeing is like the only constant in commerce is change, right? And so that's being tested so heavily over the last couple of years. And a key skill set for all of these brands is learning how to roll with that, right? And like you mentioned, that the last 2 years we've seen as much change as what we've seen in the last couple of decades. And so it really is eye-opening when you think about it like that. And some things that we've seen is, we recently did our 2022 trends report, and we looked at data across all of our 1.7 million merchants. We surveyed over 12,000 consumers, and we worked with over 350 CPG and retail commerce decision makers. So a really broad range of information. And what was really interesting that we saw when it comes to a lot of these D2C brands and what they really need to be thinking about is that spending habits are really shifting. Right. And so we saw 47% of people said that having a local presence was now a significant factor in their choice to purchase. And 77% said that they were concerned about the environmental impact of the products they buy. And 41% are okay with brands that they like using personal data to deliver relevant content. And so this to me tells me some really interesting factors around success for direct-to-consumer brands, right? That all of our shared customers and brands throughout Southeast Asia that are thinking of getting down this path need to be thinking about. And really some of the key factors of success, I think, are competing on values and not necessarily price.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Yeah, like we saw 52% of global shoppers are more likely to purchase from companies aligned with their values. And then also, like you mentioned earlier, that focus on customer loyalty. There's been so many changes to performance marketing around third-party data that need for that first-party data is really, really important. And creating that omni-channel experience, your in real life experiences, which are now opening up more post-pandemic, right? They need to be matched and in line with your online presence. And so all of this, I think, really leads back to the secret source of that direct-to-consumer type of approach is really how do we deliver this wonderful customer experience that allows brands to shine and position themselves around a lot of these trends. And obviously that's much harder to do on a marketplace, right? And so that's really the key reasons that we're seeing a lot of brands go down this path. But Tom, I'd love to know, what do you see as being some of those main benefits of going direct to consumer?
I think you've highlighted quite a few of the same benefits that I thoroughly believe in, right? I mean, Rhys, you shared a lot of great insights earlier, right? I mean, from a perspective of Shopify, I'd just love to ask, how do you think brands can start, their e-commerce journey, right? What would you recommend, right? In terms of, how a brand today, if I'm thinking of a D2C journey, how can Shopify help me?
Yeah, well, firstly, I think it's very much a mindset shift, particularly when you're coming from that marketplace background. It's really starting to think, okay, how do I need to position my brand, meet my customers where they expect me to be, right? And so it's starting with that. I think Shopify comes in firstly because it is a leading product, like you mentioned before. It's a wonderful product with a lot of features that help a merchant. They help take that technical challenge out of it, right? And it allows these brands to run their business. And that's what I think is fantastic. But also it'd be remiss of me to not mention that Shopify is also a great product all around the world, right? And so exactly. vision here is for a lot of brands in your market that are, growing throughout Southeast Asia. There really is a launching pad into other markets to test out different products or test out different seasonalities and things like that. So that really excites me. I'm excited to see how we can take some of these Southeast Asian brands, beyond Southeast Asia too. And I think that's a real value point of Shopify.
Rhys, totally agree with you, right? And I think that, as you kind of highlighted earlier, the key benefits, right, of D2C and what really Shopify enables those key benefits, right, with some of the features and functions. We're starting to see a lot of brands currently, right, really fixated on, how do I establish that long-term relationship, right? And so I think, the mechanics, right, as you mentioned, the campaigns that really enable, loyalty, right, subscription, right, and other sort of, referrals, all those factors, right, that, help a brand not just kind of win new customers, right, but also, how do they get, them to refer others and retain their current customers, right? And I think, all like key ingredients right now of what really, what D2C will enable. Right. And so on behalf of our brands, we also see them, excited about these, capabilities. Right. And so I think that, from a platform perspective, I'm confident that, that Shopify can definitely enable all that. Right. And so for us, combining Shopify, right, as a platform, combining that with our services, right, end to end, right, I think, we really become a one-stop shop for the entire D2C needs, that a brand will have. Right. So, yeah, I totally agree with you. Great timing. Can't be better than any right now, right? And I think brands are already kind of putting this into their strategy, and so I think every brand should actually have D2C to complement their overall channel strategy, just like they would offline.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's got to be joint, right, and consistent at the end of the day. And I think that ability to position a brand around its key value propositions and therefore attract the target audience that they want to attract, get that customer data, and then be able to leverage that customer data for an ongoing period is extremely, extremely valuable. And that's really the big thing for a lot of these brands to wrap their thinking around, right? And ultimately, it's a bit of a step change, but this is where the power of a platform like Shopify, a business like aCommerce, really come together here to wrap that merchant or brand, around with the right technologies and the right insights to be able to execute and grow. And I think that's really exciting and effectively what we're all trying to do together, right? It's a 1 + 1 = 10 type of scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think, to sum it all up, I think that, if anyone's watching this right now, right, obviously, they see the benefits, right? That they see that, that it has to be overall part of their strategy. And so, just in terms of getting started, right, it's really as simple as, look, aCommerce is here. We're partnered with Shopify, right? We can deliver all this solution. It's really just a matter, I think, of the brands, or anyone interested in kind of having an end-to-end solution to just simply contact aCommerce, right? And then we can definitely just kind of walk them through the entire process to deliver this solution for them. Right.
100%. Shopify and aCommerce together, kind of give merchants superpowers, right? And so, as a Shopify Plus partner, you've got access to our team and you've got access to enablement and training and the product and where it's going. And so you're in great hands in working with the team at aCommerce from a merchant perspective. So 100% merchants reach out to Tom and the team there, and they're all across Shopify. They know how it works in the region and beyond, and we'll be able to give you some great advice.
So Rhys, next time you're in the region, please come by. Yeah, we'll definitely we'll get some drinks, right? Have a night out of the town a little bit. Okay. And visit some of our clients as well. So fantastic. Yeah. Rhys, thanks again. Yeah, thanks again for the partnership, Rhys, and for being on this session with us.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for everything that you're doing to fly the Shopify flag for us throughout Southeast Asia. It's really appreciative, and yeah, look, I can't wait to see how much we grow together in region. I think Southeast Asia is tipped to be 300 billion online GMV, I think, by 2025. So big, huge growing market, a lot of complexity. And at the end of the day, we can't do it without great partners like you. So I'm very excited to see where we can go together.
Likewise, Rhys. Thanks again for all your support.
Awesome. Pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks.